Paula Bradison with PeopleAK. Today, we are thrilled to have Jeff Landfield. He is a character here in Alaska, someone who I have found to be quite polarizing. People either hate him or love him, and that's all by reputation. Today will be my second time ever meeting him, and I'm excited to have him on this podcast. Are we good to go?
I think so.
It's my second podcast. How many have you done?
I don't know, hundreds. Many hundreds.
Great.
I'm not the first one, huh?
Teach me, Sensei.
No, I'm just here to answer questions.
Oh boy, how long have you been in Alaska?
21 years. I moved here in
Nice.
2004.
You little Chichaco, you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I've actually been here now longer than I was in New Mexico.
Oh, okay.
I moved here when I was 19, so. I
So
grew up
before
there.
we get to that part, do you know what we're doing with this podcast? Why you're here?
I don't have a great idea of it. I have somewhat of an idea.
What's your somewhat of an idea?
You're talking to people about their businesses and what they do in their lives.
Yeah. So what inspired it is I'm fourth generation Alaskan. I love it here. I have a ton of friends that are fleeing the state.
Oh yeah, me too. Lots.
Yeah, and it makes me super sad.
Mostly younger people.
And what I'm most interested in is my passion at work has to do with small business. And I refer to myself as the, professional B team because I like to see
like
other
that.
people's
I'm the C
success. Well, call me up to the bigs when you need me and then otherwise not. I like people with an opinion. I like people who are passionate about our state. I don't know you. I know of you. And most of what I know of you has been polarizing, to be honest. One side or the other, they love you, they hate you, whatever it is. But I've had more people ask me, hey, did you see the landmine today? I didn't know what
really?
it was.
I like that. Yeah, I always tell people who know who I am, you'll never find somebody who knows who I am that says, oh yeah, Jeff, I don't have an opinion about him.
I'm terrible with names. I remember yours.
Yeah.
So here we are.
It's usually the love or hate. I hope more people like me, but
Yeah.
it's hard to gauge it sometimes.
Yeah. So I hate gossip.
Really?
I hate with a fiery
I kind of
passion.
like it a little bit.
My whole job, one of the things that my children know, that my employees know, is if it's not my story to tell, then I shouldn't be sharing it, right? And what fascinates me about your business is, number one, what did you want to be when you grew up?
I wanted to be, for most of my childhood, a pilot. I actually was kind of dead set on going to the Air Force Academy.
Oh, really?
And then at some point when I was quite young, my dad realized at my eye doctor that I was colorblind.
Oh.
So I can see colors, but I can't, the little slides with the numbers. And
Yeah.
I'll see nothing, or I'll see 65 and it's 12.
Oh.
So so you can't be a pilot. You can't be a pilot if you're colorblind.
That would be, yeah.
Which kind of, mostly men are colorblind. Did you know that? It's almost all
I did not know
entirely
that.
men. Yeah.
Oh, I just thought they had bad taste.
I don't know what's genetic or maybe, who knows, but yeah, so that was kind of what I did grow up. I flew gliders. I got my private pilot glider license, so I flew, but I turned out I couldn't be a pilot in the military because of my color blindness. So then I wasn't sure what I wanted to do, and I graduated high school in New Mexico, and then I went to college and the University of New Mexico for one year, and I didn't want to be there anymore. Friends all grew up there, and it's called Land of Enchantment. That's
Right.
the North to the Future, Land of Enchantment. But people who grew up there, live there, call it Land of Entrapment. So I wanted to leave, and I wanted to get far away because a lot of my friends that were older than me, 1 or 2 years out of high school, they went to Colorado or Arizona or California, but then they came back, most of them, because it gets hard and it's money and you're young and it's easy to just go home if you're that close to. So I was looking at a lot, and actually it's interesting. I've told this story that there was a college fair at some point in high school. All these colleges were some, mall, and they were talking about what they, who they are. And UAA was there. And I saw, and I didn't even know anything about Alaska other than it was big. And this is before Sarah Palin, before all the TV shows. And I remember seeing that, and that kind of stuck in my mind. Oh, there's a school there. There's people there. What's going on? So, I mean, that was a good thing that UAA. I don't know if they're still doing that, but I mean, I saw that, and that was probably one of the big drivers of me deciding to move here.
Wow. And you said 22 years?
20. Well, yeah, I moved here in 2004. So
what keeps you
21.
here?
Well, I mean, I stayed here. I went to UAA. I was young, so I made a lot of friends, and started working for this IT company after college. From a guy I knew had a small IT company, and And then I bought a house and I grew up here and then started a business. I went to Australia for a year in 2017. So I left for a while and came back. But, I just have a lot of roots here. My friend and I bought some property a couple of years ago in Big Lake, and I'm 40. So if I were to leave, I could leave, where would I go? I'd be starting kind of over.
Right. But in some part, a lot of what you do could be done remotely. You could argue.
No, I mean, somewhat. I travel a lot, but I mean, I have to, for my Alaska Political Report business I run, and then the Landmine too, I go to Juneau. You could not be in Juneau. I mean, there's people who run like media operations or reporters that kind of just watch on gavel and they watch the committee hearings. You can do that from anywhere, but you can see what they're talking about, but you don't really get a sense of what's really happening in Juneau unless you're there.
Right. I had a friend, actually, Diane Bloomer. You might know her.
Diane, one of my favorites.
Yeah, I love her. She invited me down. I got to go down to her bullpen, so to speak, and it was fascinating. I know nothing about politics, and just being around and sort of immersed in people that are hanging on the words of, what's happening on the floor. I thought it was just fascinating.
You went to the Rainbow Swamp.
It was so fun. It was.
That building there?
Yeah, it was blessed.
The Rainbow Foods building. And
Yep.
This is a long story. I won't go into the whole thing, but we're very good friends now. The owner, her name's Wendy,
Okay.
the lobbyist, but we got sideways many years ago, and I started referring to it as the Rainbow Swamp because it's the Rainbow Foods.
Right.
And there's all these lobbyists in
Yes.
there. And that name kind of stuck. So
Okay.
people
Well,
still ask Diane.
I haven't called that.
Ask Diane. Ask her if how her office in the Rainbow Swamp's doing.
Maybe I won't. I don't know.
She'll laugh.
That's fantastic.
It's a joke. We can laugh about it now.
So you kind of hit on something. So you're not a grudge holder.
I am. I can forgive. I have had a lot of people that I've gotten very sideways with that I could move on from that. But usually they have to initiate it.
Right.
And in a few cases, there's people I have grudges or problems with that I don't ever see that getting fixed. That's a very small amount of people. But no, I mean, I think you have to be able to, in my business, I can go after somebody I tell people, even if they're my friends,
Right.
legislators or public figures, they can do something really bad, and I'm not going to ignore it because then I'm a hack if I protect them from doing something stupid. I mean, maybe if it's a small thing, if someone does something stupid that's like not a big deal, but it's stupid, and I can overlook it. But if there's somebody I really don't like, or if somebody who's come after me and they do something really small and stupid, then I can really go after them.
I've been personally accused of being a little bit like the kid on Goonies. So if you were to ask me a question, I'll start with everything I've done since I was 5. Do you have people? That just call you and say, "Hey, look, here's what I've done. It's your story." They self promote or self profess, I should say.
Not exactly. I mean, there's been some case where people have done something dumb, or they've done something foolish, and they've tried to get ahead of it. I mean, they don't really call and say, "Hey, I'm confession." What
I thought maybe you had a little box where like the Catholic confession studio, nothing like that.
I'm not but sometimes I tell people sometimes it's kind of liberating or freeing to just tell the truth.
Right.
And sometimes people do something and you can tell they're trying to either cover it up or deny it. And I've told people in the past, I said, look, you should just tell the truth. It's going to be a lot easier if you just tell the truth right now, because I'm going to find out. Somebody's going to find out.
Right.
What's more interesting is, and I've heard this from several people, elected officials, legislators, friends of mine, they say that it's not kind of what I'm doing all the time, but it's people know that I'm there or watching, and it's sometimes they won't do something stupid because, and this has actually happened. I've heard this many, many times. People have told me they've been in meetings or they've been in discussions about doing something. And this is I've heard this dozens of times. They say, well, what if Landfield finds out? Because they're doing something shady, or they're going to...
What a compliment, right?
Well, because they know somebody's watching.
Right, right.
So, if nobody's watching, these people, these public officials, that are in charge of billions of dollars, they can get... I mean, they do get away with a lot. I mean, stuff goes into the budget all the time that... I catch things, all the small things. The budget's hundreds of pages, and there's lines of this million here, that million there, and it's a line. There's really, you have to go figure out what it is. You have to go look at the kind of backup documents. You have to look at who put it in there, what nonprofit it's going to, or what department it's going. It's hard to figure this out. Even one little $1 million, I found 3 or 4 years ago, there was a grant to this thing called Voice of the Arctic.
Okay.
and it's this group in the North Slope that kind of promotes resource development. It's basically trying to counter all the lefty greenie groups that want to shut down oil development in the art. It's a good idea. I think it's a great concept. But this guy, Andy Baker, was involved. He's kind of a shadow lobbyist who been around for a long time. And kind of long story short, I found out that the $1 million the governor put into the budget, there's these things called grant reimbursement requests. When you get a grant from the state, they don't just give you a check.
Right.
They give you $1 million, right? So you have to spend the money and you have to ask for the reimbursement.
Right.
So I found out through a tip, and I was kind of investigating a little bit, and it took a while, that this basically was a slush fund, and they were just paying themselves.
Oh boy.
Money. And once they found out, the senators' finance committee got very upset. There was another $1 million they were going to give. That got shut down. They shut down the original grant. But like, if nobody was looking at that, nobody would have ever found out. I'm telling you, there's probably lots of these things happening where nobody's watching.
So tell me what drives you to choose this. That was sort of the premise of what did you want to be when you grow up? Like, how did you get here? What drives you? What gives you that kind of, you've got a lot of energy for unearthing these kind of things. It's not just a job to you, obviously.
Well, I don't like when people do that kind of shit. I mean, that's not right for them to be abusing public dollars. I mean, if you want to screw some private person with their money, I mean, that's not good either, but it's their money. You know, that should be not good either. But when it's public dollars, so I ran for the state legislature in 2012, and I didn't know anything, and I had no idea what I was doing. But the time the budget was really big, and the price of oil was pretty high. But
what was your motivator for doing that? I'm fascinated by this because I
was working in an IT company, a small IT company, so I started going to these Resource Development Council, AOGA, chamber lunches, and at this time, the whole big conversation was ACEs, the tax structure, and they wanted to undo it, and there was this big talk about it. It was Palin's, it was really progressive at the top end, and the price of oil was high, and there was all these people trying to change it, and also the budget was really big, so you could see something was coming when the price of when the budget balances $100 a barrel oil, something's not good.
Right.
So there was a lunch at the Captain Cook. It was 1,000 people, some big debate. I think it was Andrew Halcrow and different people were debating this SB 21, this eventual repeal of ACEs. And somebody had said, who was it? Jason Bruni. He used to be the executive director of the Resource Development Council, but he said, all these people, the same people, always come to these meetings and they always bitch about the same things. And, who's willing to run for office?
Right.
Which of you are willing to file and try to? And these are the people you'd want to ostensibly run for. I mean, smart people, business people, they know what's going on. And he said, stand up or raise your hand, and I'll pay your filing fee. It's like $25.
Right.
And like nobody stood up. Nobody out of the whole room. And I was like, well, fuck it. Maybe I will. That's really where it started.
Seriously.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. He's still around. He was commissioner for environmental conservation for a while under Dunleavy. Now he works at the North Slope Borough. He's on the permanent fund board.
Have you always had the ability of retaining names?
Yeah.
Always? I've just a gift?
I mean, it's hard because I know so many people that sometimes I'll be like, fuck, I know this person, but I can't
Hey, it's
think
me,
of their
Paula,
name.
by the way.
Yeah, I know Paula.
You're on my
Paula Bradison.
Hey,
I got you.
Okay.
But no, I've been pretty blessed with good memory for names and faces.
That's fantastic. So, following your gifts, so to speak.
I have a trick sometimes if I'm with somebody like RDC, for example. You're talking to there's hundreds or thousands of people, and you're like talking to, and you're like, fuck, who is this person? So my trick, and this works about 80% of the time, you're with somebody else and you go, oh, hey, this is Paula. And they say who they are.
It is a good idea.
Yeah,
that is a good idea.
This works.
I do a lot of you. It's so nice to see you again.
No, see, and then sometimes they wear the name tags, but like half the time they're flipped.
Right.
So it's facing the wrong, so you can't see who they are.
That's right. That's right.
I just gave away my trick. No,
that's all right. Thank you. I told you. Since I'm learning.
They're going to be like, I heard you on the Paula podcast.
That's right.
That's what you should call it, the Paula podcast.
There you go. Well, it is. But it's about people. I got to be the B team. See, so tell me the most interesting person that you've ever interviewed on your side of the table. You're usually over here asking the questions. Tell me one of your most memorable or your favorite interviews.
A couple years ago, Lisa Murkowski was in town for something, and she had Joe Manchin with her.
Okay.
And I was able to interview both of them. That was kind of interesting.
Yeah.
That was at the it was at the Denina Center. So that was kind of, I've never met him before, and he's a pretty national figure. So whenever I've heard her on several times, and her when I do a podcast with her, it just goes crazy. Lots of downloads.
there?
Sarah Palin was pretty. When she ran for the Congress.
Right.
One of my maybe more interesting ones, and this is funny, maybe one of the more honest, because a lot of times you're talking to political people and they're very guarded or they're careful with their words.
Right.
I've had a couple through a friend I know some Bush Company dancers, and I've had a few of them on. They're very honest.
I bet.
Yeah, they just tell you whatever you want to. There's no guarding there.
They're not worried.
So they're and it's kind of fascinating actually the business of strip clubs, and they have to pay every time they go on the stage. They pay the a fee to the club, and I mean there's tons of money, but there's a lot of money in the DJ, and it's and sometimes they're contractors, but that law changed years ago, and there was something. I remember that whole thing down at the was a Crazy Horse. There was a big scandal with all those women.
With women,
the Russians, and anyways, they can't be. I think they can't be contractors. It's a very interesting business model.
it is a little bit fascinating.
I mean, they make a lot of money, but they have to pay a lot of money too.
And I am actually fascinated by different business models up here that are enduring, and that happens to be one that is recession proof, I would say.
Yeah, I would. I mean, I think it's definitely fares better than most. But I mean, remember during COVID, they were doing some of these places were doing like the drive-up strip clubs.
I didn't closely follow it weirdly, yeah.
It was like and then they had like when they opened them. Eventually, they had like socially, so you could do a lap dance, but you couldn't actually touch. You had to be like
6 feet away or whatever.
Bizarre. I mean, you got a problem if that's what you need to. It's fun to go with your friends on a weekend or something.
I suppose. Yeah. So outside of
you've been there?
Political realm, yes,
company?
I have been to the Bush Company before.
I thought you were going to say like.
No, I would love to say no, but I can't. I'm just not good at lying. We already talked about the Goonies part.
Gotta tell the truth. Yeah.
A long time ago, when I was first married to my husband Wade, we had absolutely no money. And so I went around to every store and every establishment that he couldn't imagine that I would have gone to. And I bought him a card and a gift at all of these different places. So I walked into the Bush Company about 4:00 in the afternoon, bought him a T-shirt, gave him a card for his next stop. And his next stop was to go get Kiss Me, It's My Birthday, and he had to put on a piece of clothing or an item.
Oh, nice.
And then we ended at F Street at the end with all of his friends.
I got a shirt. I got a shirt from years ago. I had my birthday there, and they put you on the stage and the whole thing.
Yeah,
you get a shirt.
Yeah. Oh, that's nice. Well, geez. Yeah.
Not bad.
Who knew? I paid for a shirt. Look at that.
I got a free one.
Wow. Geez, you're already saving money.
Yeah.
Well, good. And so, what keeps you in Alaska?
Well, like I said, I mean, I have my businesses here, and
That seemed very pragmatic. I was looking for something like.
I mean, I like it here. It's great I sometimes question in the winter when it's it starts to get cold.
Sure.
And I'm 40. I'm not 20.
Right.
So it's like sometimes you're sitting there in bed and it's pretty cold. You're like, fuck, what am I doing here? But it's good to be able to get out. Go to Hawaii or get to somewhere in the lower 48.
Absolutely.
It's good to get out. But I bought some property with a friend over on Big Lake, and we're trying to get that built up. It's been a couple of years, and my friends are here. My life's here.
What part of Big Lake?
It's on Crooked Lake, so it's just past Big Lake.
I know right where it is.
Yeah,
Yep.
It's a nice lake. There's a lot of people that are on there. That John Sims from NSTAR, him and his wife Kai Binkley, they have a place on that lake, and other people that I know. Actually, my friend Scott, my business partner, he's part of the Landmine, and then this other studio business I have. His uncle has a parcel on that lake that the family got like 50 or 60 years ago.
Oh, that's fun.
So now he's with his uncle starting to develop. It's been kind of untouched for a long time.
That's great. My father happened to buy a piece of property, still has it, I believe, when I was 5 on Big Lake, a small island. So it's kind of neat out by Crocker's Island. It's out that direction.
There's a couple islands on. Is it one you can see from the road or?
No.
There's that one when you're driving. It's like really tiny, and there's a.
Oh no, yeah, no. This one's a little bit bigger than that, but been up there my whole life. I spent a good chunk of my childhood there, and then I graduated to high school from Wasilla. So, love the area. What made you choose it?
It's great out there. I mean, the problem now is 30 or 40 or 50 years ago, people could buy a little bit of land, an acre or two, and it was not crazy. It was affordable. It was doable, and now it's all been pretty much bought up, and we haven't built any roads. Like there's this West Susetna access road they're talking about for a long time, and they're going to hopefully build it. But the properties out there are nuts. I mean, 1 or 2 acre parcels with a not even a house, a little cabin, $500,000,
Right.
$750,000. I mean, it's not affordable.
Right.
Same in the Kenai. The Kenai
Right.
is even worse because these people want to come down and fish, and they lower 48 people, and they're wealthy, and these lots are going for $250, and then they're listed at $250, and they're for an acre or something, or half an acre, and they're selling for like $100,000 over.
Right.
Because people are making these. So we don't have enough land. We don't have enough road. We have plenty of land. We don't have enough roads to this land. So it's you can buy something for affordable that's off the road system, but you have to have a plane.
Right.
Or a four-wheeler, and that's just much
It
more
just adds
difficult.
more-
To,
yep.
You can't. So it's
More expensive.
So you get a good deal, but then you're paying more to get out there and to bring materials. So that's like a big failure on this part of the state for not having more roads built and more. There's millions of acres of land. The Mental Health Trust, the Department of Natural Resources, they have so much fucking land that they don't do anything with.
So I'm not coming to you obviously today for a pep talk. That's what I'm hearing.
Well, I'm pissed off that, I got lucky. My friend and I found this land, and this lady we had found her online, and her and her husband had bought it 20 some years ago, and we contacted her. He had passed away, and she was in the lower 48, and this was like a 6 month. It was, we talked to her, and she ended up selling it to us for a really good deal. But actually, the neighbors, we had it surveyed, and the neighbors' stuff was all on our property.
Right.
And it was a real mess. And luckily, my friend who I bought the lot with, he's a lawyer, and they were trying to argue adverse possession. Essentially, we can keep it because we've been there for so long. And I won't get into the details, but he figured out that there was they couldn't do that. But it was if he wouldn't have bought that with me, if it would have been me and some random person, we would have had to hire a lawyer, and it would have been, I don't know, 30. Just what he did for that period of 6 weeks or 2 months to get this figured out would have been 30 or 40 grand.
All right. So what question should I have asked you so far that I haven't?
Oh, I don't know, whatever you want.
I know, but what shouldn't I? Come on, Sensei.
Dropped your pen there.
That's all right. It can stay on the floor.
I feel
I
like
didn't throw it at you.
I don't want to
Look at that.
I don't want to hijack your podcast.
Why?
Here, so,
Why is that?
ask me whatever you want.
Here we are.
We're back at the square one.
So it is. So because I have a passion for small business, tell me politically, how could we make things easier for small business owners in Alaska? So from my perspective, if I think it's still 60 or 70% of employees are working for small business owners, right? How do we make it more attractive, easier for small business in Alaska?
That's a big answer there. One, we could
You said anything.
fix our energy problems. The energy is such a factor, and you look at the rising utility bills, electric
Right.
bills, heating bills because of this energy problem in South Central. So,
And I believe they're scheduled to go up between 10 and 12%
they're
this
going to
next
go.
year.
They're going to go up even when they start importing gas.
Right.
It's going to go up 30%.
Right.
On the new gas.
Right.
So energy is a problem. This dividend. I think we should end this fucking dividend. This is like the biggest problem in our state. It's a cancer, and it plagues our legislature. This year it was $1,000, which sounds like okay, it's $1,000, not that much money per person, but it's $700 million. Our
Right.
budget's like $5 billion.
Right.
And these people are promoting this full dividend nonsense, which is $2.5. It would be $2.5 billion. It's like almost $4,000 the formula, which hasn't been followed in 10 years. That's like half our budget. That's like half our revenue. It's insane. So if we got rid of that dividend and we started using that money to do things, in the state and building things and not scaring businesses on all kinds of new taxes, which maybe there's some reason for. I think we should probably have a statewide sales tax because we have all these tourists that come here and we don't capture any. It's interesting with tourism. We don't. The state doesn't get any money. The state itself doesn't get any money from tourism except maybe the vehicle rental tax, which is like tens of millions of dollars.
Right.
Now the towns get money. Ketchikan, Juneau, Skagway, they all have sales taxes. So it's like we spend all this money. I think the Travel Institute wants like $10 million or $20 million a year from the state. But we get jobs and there's ancillary kind of secondary benefits from that. But these businesses are freaking out about, are you going to start taxing us a bunch of money to pay out these dividends? And that's what a lot of people are. So that makes people nervous.
So this ton of energy is fascinating to me. Again, just completely fascinating to me. What do you want to see in 10 years? What if something super positive happened? What would you
build
want
build the Kinnikarn Bridge or the tunnel, whatever tunnel or bridge? Build that. That'll pretty much solve our housing problems overnight because the other side is Matsu Borough, and they build things in the Matsu Borough. They build houses. Half the houses in the last several years in the state were built in the Matsu Borough. So if we could just build the Kinnikarn Bridge, or tunnel. They're talking
Right.
about doing it. You know, Elon Musk has that.
Right,
I mean,
right,
they could do that. They did the tunnel in like what, the 80s or I mean, this is like 40 years ago.
Yeah, but I don't know that it went so well for Seattle. So I'm
No,
just
the
wondering
tunnel
about that.
in England and
Yeah,
France.
I know, I understand that part,
but-
but yeah, I think they're trying. There's something similar in Seattle, and it hasn't gone as quite as planned.
I mean, Seattle has. You fly over Seattle, you see all Bain Bridge. There's bridges all over the place.
Right.
And we don't just that. That would be a big. That would be great for Anchorage if we built that bridge. People could build more houses in the Matsu. People would move over there. They could get to Anchorage very quickly. It would be good for people who are trying to leave Anchorage. You know, like over on Crooked Lake, where I am in Big Lake, you have to go all the way around, or Point McKenzie. You have to go all the way around.
Yes, you do.
You know, if it was a bridge, that would be great for also goods. All the goods that come from the port, they don't have to go on the Glen corridor. They can just go up there to the goods going up north.
Right.
But we have this NIMBY problem in our state. These NIMBYs, not in my backyard, they stop everything. Everything that could happen in the state gets stopped by these NIMBY people. And it's not partisan. I mean, it's bipartisan. There's Democrats and lefties who want to stop the oil or projects or resource projects, but it's
Right.
conservatives and, the Matsu Borough and around Big Lake that want to stop the West Ossetian Access Road because it's like, oh, there's going to be traffic. There's going to be cars. Well, move somewhere else. Why should you get to stop everybody else from doing something because you bought something 30, 40 years ago?
Right.
That's the problem. And the politicians all succumb to it.
So what do you think our greatest hope is for our state?
Greatest hope for our state. I don't want to sound negative, but I mean, I don't know. There's not a lot of hope right now.
Right.
Maybe we elect a new governor next year that wants to, do things and actually lead. I mean, that's right now. There's not really any of them that. I mean, there's some that are marginally better than the other ones, but there's nobody that stands out to me that's going to like do something. And look at the legislature. There's 60 of them. When I was younger, I was like, oh, these are these smart people we elect. These really the best people.
Right. So what advice
they
would you
aren't.
give
I mean,
me
some
when
of them are okay, but
I know nothing about politics. I know about my state. I know about running small business. What would you say to somebody that should be more informed, should be more involved outside of listening to your podcast or reading the Landmine? What would you suggest to a young person?
they should buy my Alaska political report.
I figured
Yeah,
that
that's
would
what
be
they should
next.
do. No, it's hard. It's hard to if you have a job or a family.
Right.
It's hard to pay. This is not easy stuff to follow. We're supposed to elect people who deal with this shit and,
Right.
and lead our state and solve our problems and do good things.
So what is your formula for voting for someone?
It depends. I mean, I've been independent for the last 5 years, so it's oftentimes kind of who's their opponent. It's like if they have a crazy opponent. But I mean, I'd like to vote for somebody that is honest, that is tells the truth, that doesn't pander, that doesn't succumb to this populism nonsense of we're going to pay you all these dividends, which is just totally unrealistic. It's not going to happen. Somebody who's pragmatic, who's willing to say, look, I want this, but these people want this, and we all want different things. We have to kind of work together. There's a lot of people in Juneau and in the Congress and probably a lot of different legislatures that say it's my way or the highway. And I mean, you can't. Doesn't work.
Okay, give me something. What makes you laugh?
What makes me laugh?
Yeah. What gives you a giggle besides the Bush Company?
I don't know. I like Dave Chappelle comedy.
Do you?
Yeah, I like.
I think his
stand-up
humor
comedy.
smart. Really
Yeah,
smart humor.
He's good.
Yeah.
Jon Stewart's pretty funny.
Yeah.
I like Trump. Makes me laugh.
Well,
Trump.
I mean-
Trump's like he's basically a stand-up comedian. I mean, like yesterday or a couple days ago, Mohammed bin Salman, the Saudi.
I'm not sure I've ever heard anyone mention him and comedy in the same
Really?
other. Yeah, that in
Oh,
terms
no,
of like
he-
stand up.
Oh, I mean, comedians all the time talk about that. How
Well,
he's funny.
They make fun of him.
No. He's funny. Like yesterday, or I think it was yesterday, the guy from Saudi Arabia, the prince, was here, and they have this whole line of succession of presidents and this kind of walkway by the White House, and it's it's like Reagan and Ford and Nixon, all these people, and Bush and Clinton, Obama, and then when it gets to Biden,
Yeah.
they've changed it out, and it's still got the really nice, really cool frame,
Right.
But it's the picture of the auto pen. So he's sitting there with MBS, and he's like laughing and pointing at the. I mean, it's hilarious. And then he just gave some speech recently, and he's just the way he talks, and it's funny. It's very funny. People are triggered by him. I kind of beyond me how many people just like their whole life seems to be about what Trump does.
I don't understand either.
Trump derangement syndrome. It's a real.
It's a thing.
Real
It's a
thing.
condition.
They're talking
Is it a
about
syndrome or is it a
well,
cancer?
some people are talking about putting into the to the DSM. You know, the guide for diagnosing psychological diseases or mental illness.
Yeah,
it should go in there. I've dealt with people that are suffering from it. I mean, it's really tragic.
You know, I started this whole podcast by saying I do not want to talk about politics.
You got the wrong guy in there for that.
Geez, I'm rethinking my morning.
Yeah, you don't have to post it. You know.
Yeah, no, it's all right.
I've done like maybe 1 or 2 podcasts over the years where they were either so awkward or so bad, or I just didn't post. Didn't post them, and then months go by and they're like, "Hey, I never saw." Oh yeah, I said, "Oh yeah, sorry, I forgot. I got busy." Try to be nice.
I don't know how that can happen under your watch.
I just did a podcast recently with a pretty good friend of mine, who I play poker. I go to Vegas quite a bit, and I play poker tournaments. And that's actually fascinating. When I moved here, I got into the underground poker world, and I became like a poker dealer in these underground games.
You did?
Yeah, a long time ago. And we did a great podcast. We talked about the summer. We'd both gone down and played some tournaments, and I had done okay and won and a little bit of money, but he had gone back and he had won actually a couple for pretty big money, like 50 grand.
Uh-huh.
He won one for, it was like 27,000. He got first place, and then there was another one. He kind of went on a little bit of a run, had a bit of a kind of just good luck and a bit of a heater.
Right.
And we did this great podcast. It was like an hour and a half. We talked to all the stuff he did, and he works in the legislature. And he texted me the next day. He's like, dude, I'm sorry, you can't post that. I go, what are you talking about? Like, you wanted to come on. We did this great podcast. And he just doesn't want people to know how much money he made, which, I mean, it's actually, it's online. You can find it, but it's like not something you can easily find. So you have to like look. But no, so I was kind of mad about that one because that was a great podcast. I still have it. My guy did all the audio and did the sponsors and, did all the adjustments to it. And now it's sitting out. I still have it. Maybe I'll post it one day.
So without giving up names, because I really don't want names and I won't remember them anyway. That's not the gift that I have. How does information come to you, and what inspires you to chase one lead over another? How do you discern gossip from
Well, that's hard. I mean, I wish there was like 4 of me. If I had more money, if I had a big budget, I could hire people, and there's so much to cover. I mean, a lot of it comes from just scouring public records. There's stuff there's for the political report, for example, we go through all these APOC reports, all these financial disclosures. We go through these, every year they produce something called the Executive Travel and Compensation Report, and you can see how much all these people traveled and how much they spent, and you can see how much, kind of money people are making, and some of these state entities like AGDC or the Aerospace Corporation. There's a lot of stuff out there that you have to kind of look for.
What motivates you to chase one thing over another?
Scale sometimes. If somebody's a commissioner that's spending $100,000 on travel, it's like, why are you doing that? It seems, especially when there's like the governor puts in a travel ban and these people still travel. There's been people that have gone to there was a lady last year, she was since retired, but she went to, I was looking at her report and this was really stuck out because she was going to Switzerland, Hungary, Fiji. It was all these fucking weird places.
Yeah.
South America, Argentina. I'm like, what the hell is she doing? And there were conferences, and it was about ESG and things. And so that's part of the scales part of it, And then sometimes if it's just ridiculous, for example, talk about something kind of doesn't really matter, but this having a grudge. This lady, her name is Doreen Lorenz. She's a lunatic, and she recently posted some video a couple days ago. I did this live stream last night about this. She was in Switzerland, in Geneva, and she was giving some talk up to this United Nations was having some human rights meeting, and she was talking about missing and murdered Indigenous people, which is like a weird thing to be doing in Switzerland. I don't, it's kind of, we have a whole commission here for that.
Right.
But she opened it with a land acknowledgement for the Swiss. Now, I think the land acknowledgements are ridiculous. I think we should not do them. But I mean, especially for the Swiss, and that's just the whole thing, the indigenous Swiss that are the stewards of she was talking about neutrality. Anyway, so I posted this thing, and she'd had this whole thing 10 years ago with this Jesse Lee Home and Seward, and the state, millions of dollars were it was so bad and so egregious, the state cut the grant off, and they were buying booze and bikini wax and like crazy things, and the state cut the grant off. So I post this thing, and then she sends me a text, or did a Facebook post where she said if I don't remove it, she's going to sue me, and lawyer, I have 3 days, and blah, I have to apologize. And I was like laughing, and then she texted me, and I basically said no. I sent a smiley face, and fuck you. Yeah, I said not doing that. And then so then I was like, well, wait a minute, okay, what the hell? How'd she go to Switzerland? She's on the Human Rights Commission, which it's like she was in trouble. This grant got canceled 10 years ago.
Right.
And now the governor puts her on this human rights. She's the chair. So I'm like, well, what's going on? So I put a records request into the Human Rights Commission. I said, who was in Switzerland? How many people went? Did the state pay for it? If so, how much? And I get a call basically saying, okay, we got your request. Yes, we were there, 2 people. And yes, it was. So it's probably 10 grand, which there's a travel ban in place.
Right.
But in this case, she pissed me off. So now it's like, I'm fucking
that's
going.
Now.
So you ever heard of the Streisand effect? This is the prime example of that.
There you go. Okay, well.
And then other stuff comes to me, people come to me with stuff. People, oftentimes it's a leak or it's something confidential. I did a story a year and a half ago about this Ellie Rubenstein.
Right.
She was on the board of the Permanent Fund, which we all thought was kind of strange when the governor put her on there. And she'd been in there for a couple of years. And she was I met her once, you think I talk. I mean, I couldn't get a word in. And the whole thing was peculiar. And I got some leaked emails. This is about, a year and a half ago that showed she had set up meetings with Permanent Fund staff and her dad, David Rubenstein, the billionaire from the Carlyle Group.
Right.
And that she was trying to steer Permanent Fund money to her business associates. Bad stuff. The worst kind of stuff.
Even I read things about that.
Yeah. So I did the story. Actually, it was interesting. So I get the emails. It was given to me in a very interesting setting where the people who were involved didn't want to give it to me directly, so they gave it to somebody else, who then which is like, I mean, I'm never going to tell anybody like who gave it to me, but it's almost like, look, I know who you are. I mean, we're all here. So I didn't, at first people send me stuff. I get all emails all the time.
Right.
I got the story. There's a corrupt judge, and it's all mostly bullshit.
Right.
I think the longer it is, the more stuff they attach, the crazier it usually is. So I'm always skeptical now when somebody says I have some. Now in this case, it was somebody that I knew was not a jokester.
Right.
Was a serious person. So I'm like reading the emails, and literally I'm sitting down, and I'm just like, holy shit. Like, wow, I need a minute. Like, I have to really read. There's a lot of emails. And I knew that was I knew right away. I just knew. I said, holy shit, this is a huge story. We're talking about, billionaires, her dad, and the Permanent Fund, and the kind of integrity of the Permanent Fund. And this is like the one thing we have in our state really going for us is this Permanent Fund.
Right.
And so I did the story. It took me a really while that's sometimes difficult too, because you're having to sift through like tons of documents. Like I just recently had some stories on the APD. I had some internal affairs files leaked to me. And it's not like you can just listen to them and there's a very complicated kind of process of listening and figuring out what's the story and sifting through all these documents. But when I did the Permanent Fund story, I mean, Business Insider picked it up, the Wall Street Journal. I mean, it was a big
Absolutely
story for a long time. And eventually she resigned. I mean, I think what happened is, I don't know this, but I think her dad eventually said like, okay, you're done playing fucking finance up there in Alaska. Like, I'm sick of being in the Wall Street Journal and all these financial periodicals every time you're mentioned.
Right.
So
Right.
And she was going to be chair. I mean, she was teed up. Jason Bruni likes her a lot. Adam Crum worshipped her. There was this Ryan Anderson. He's a DOT commissioner. So it's like she had the votes to become chair. And that's terrifying. What was she going to do? What could she have done?
All of this is at the core of the question. The reason I'm fascinating, I mentioned this in the beginning. I hate gossip, but having somebody to be able to seek out the truth, I think, is so necessary and becoming more and more necessary. If you get an email, how do you know it's real?
Well, it's difficult. I mean,
It's the whole AI thing, and you know.
I mean, it's not so much as it real. It's sometimes they're anonymous. It's like a fake email account, so I don't even know who I'm talking to. That happens. Sometimes, like I said, when it's people that are the most common thing is these people are there's corruption. This judge is corrupt, or the judiciary is corrupt, and what I've found is it seems like 100% of the time when I start Googling them or going to court view, they've had an adverse ruling, they've had a kid taken away, or they've had some problem in the court or a divorce, whatever it is. Like they have, and they always leave that part out.
Right.
They don't mention that.
Right.
So it's like the thing with corrupt judges is just I almost just ignore them. I mean, I'll always take a look, but it's people send stuff, and then I it's just me. So in any given day, I only have 8 hours or 10 hours or whatever I'm working, and it's like looking at one of these things could take my whole day.
Okay, then how about this?
If I spend enough time on something that I'm serious about.
For the average Joe who actually does know of something completely corrupt, has a front row seat to something that they know for a fact, have a front seat, what do you tell the average person? Outside of, call you, call...
Well, I don't really tell people. People know me. They send me messages on Facebook or they email me, and people know how to. And it's a problem because I'd say the majority of stuff I get is either not real, it's not important, or it's not worth writing about.
I think at the core of my question, and right on the heels of another podcast, having been born here in Anchorage, my dad was born here. I'm fourth generation. I have a passion for Alaska and the people who live here. I'd like to see Anchorage improve. I am fatigued.
Well, luckily the bar is so low that we really can't go down anymore. So
I am fatigued of complaining and people complaining about our city. What can the average person do to move the needle?
Vote for somebody. Vote for good people. We have really low voter turnout. I mean, it's 20%, 25%. I mean, it's abysmally low. And we mail the fucking ballots out. So it's like you don't even have to do anything.
Right.
You have to fill it out, put it in the mail, or go to this drop box.
What would encourage a good person who's, would you say, pragmatic, smart, hopefully honest? What would encourage them to run for office?
They don't run. That's the problem.
Right. How do we encourage them?
I mean, it's very difficult because they're smart people. They're making money. They have a business. They have a family. They don't want to expose themselves to the kind of political
But
drama.
Jeff, you're our hope. You got to inspire them. I'm looking to you.
It's hard. I tell people all the time, you should run for office, and they always say, like, "Are you fucking crazy? I'm not doing that. Like, I don't want to deal with you. People like me, they don't want to have their life kind of, broken apart and accused of things maybe they didn't even do.
Right.
And the pay's not very good, in the legislature, even the governor. I mean, it's like they raised it a couple of years ago. It's 168,000. That's like not bad money, but it's like a lot of people are, making a lot more money than that.
Got it.
So so you got to find people. I mean, the best person I think is people who don't need the job,
right?
Because they
can
do things. They can. So a lot of these people who they need the job, that's the legislature that pays $84,000 now. That was a pay raise plus per diem. So it's and then per diem's like $40,000. So
okay. So what's the favorite part of your job?
Exposing big stories. Like exposing, writing about things that nobody ever else writes about. The permanent fund thing, the APD thing, this voice of the Arctic thing. I mean, just finding things and holding people accountable and having people know that they can't, they might get caught if they do something stupid.
Right. Yeah. I think of when you were mentioning it before of somebody changing their behavior because you're in the room. It's a little like looking at your speedometer when a policeman's there, whether you are or not.
I have a big ego too. I like the attention. That's
no.
thing. Yeah.
Yeah.
I like when I like the attention.
That's why I was going to ask, what office are you going to be running for?
I don't. I've said I'm going to wait till May, and if there's 30 people in this governor's race, this clown show, then maybe I would look at that. But that's difficult because you have to find a running mate now, and you don't want to find some joke running mate. You want to find somebody. Plus, I have my business, which would suffer. So it's not. But we have this top 4 thing where the top 4 people go to the general from the primary, and
what would make you want to run for governor?
All these things I've talked about. I'm trying to fix some of these problems and telling people the truth and getting, dealing with this dividend cancer and trying to work with people to actually build things in our state, like the Juneau Access Road or the second Douglas Crossing in Juneau. There's been talking about that for 20 years. This Kinnicarn Bridge.
They have, yes.
All these things, they just talk about them and they study them and they spend $20 million or $50 million, and it's just like so much money gets spent on. That's why I like Bill Walker. When Bill Walker ran in 2010 the first time, he was at an event or he was giving a speech or something, and he said, "We used to build things, now we just study things."
Right.
That's when I was like, "Wow, that's my guy."
I've actually heard him say that.
Yeah. So he was, and look at him. He did the right thing with the dividend. He knew we couldn't keep paying these things out. The price of oil was at 30. We were running up deficits in the billions, and he did the right thing. And actually, it's funny. All the people who criticized him, most of the Republicans, some Democrats too, but mostly the Republicans who went after him on that, and this whole thing about, oh my God, he stole your dividend. He's a thief. Quietly, many of them were like, thank God he did that, because we were going to have to do it anyways, because we couldn't afford it. I mean, we had like $18 billion in our savings accounts 12 years ago, 13 years ago. Now it's $3 billion. All that money got spent.
I had
So if you wouldn't have cut that, I mean, it would have eventually got cut down anyways because it was just unsustainable. But he does that, and he gets basically penalized for it. I mean, he had other problems. I mean, I like Bill, and I voted for Bill, but there was other issues he had. But I mean, that was the one thing that he suffered from, doing the right thing. So people, you ask about getting people, they know if I do the right thing, then I'm going to get attacked and I'm going to get skewered and probably not win again. So why would I even do it?
When we were kids, we used to do earthquake drills. They'd ring the bell. We'd jump under our tables. We'd go through these different, exercises in case an earthquake came. I have long said that we should be adding to the curriculum what happens with the permanent fund and how it actually performs and what we do with the money within the state and how it contributes to our infrastructure.
Well,
because I don't think that we as adults actually have a full grasp of the impact of the permanent fund dollars.
That's another problem, the permanent fund. I mean, it's $85 billion, $84 billion. We're spending almost $1 billion a year on fees,
right?
Which is 1%, which is, if you have money in the market, that's really high, 1%, especially for that kind of fund. So the way it's managed, and I mean, this guy Brad Keithley writes a little column for him every week, and he's looked at kind of going back 5 or 10 years, if you were to just put the amount of money in the permanent fund into like index funds, S&P funds or Vanguard funds. I mean, that thing would be 120 billion, 130 billion.
I'm just glad we haven't touched it, and it continues. It
could be a lot bigger. It could be a lot bigger.
If I understood it, it was supposed to encourage education. It was supposed to encourage sustainability in terms of our economic growth and our infrastructure originally. Is that?
Well, I think it was.
How would you explain it?
It was supposed to. I mean, we had the lease sale in the '60s. What time is it? Can somebody tell me? Is it?
Yeah, we're probably getting there.
Yeah. What is it? Okay, I got about 15 minutes. I got to be somewhere. 2:30. No, so we had the lease sale in the '60s.
I thought you were buying lunch.
Am I doing that?
No, I know.
I thought.
Well, you said you were bringing whiskey.
No, I asked you if you had whiskey. I have whiskey in my office.
I don't have whiskey.
So the 900 million lease sale was in the '60s, and that was the budget. Then was like $100 million. So I tell people, like, could you imagine? So it was 9 times the budget. Could you imagine today if we had a $45 billion windfall?
Right.
Holy shit! I can't even imagine how much money that would fucking get wasted. They wasted all that money. All that money got. I mean, they built some things and whatever, but so when the money started coming in from oil in the after the pipeline was built, some smart people,
right.
Jay Hammond, other Clem Tilly, they said, wait a minute, we better not blow all this. So they set up the permanent fund to put some of the oil money away for the future.
Right.
And they all said this. I mean, people say they like to quote like Jay Hammond and they all this revisionist stuff. And I mean, you can actually go back and just watch what he said. I mean, it's not even long enough ago where there's not video.
Yes.
So they all said one day this is going to have to fund government. This is for like when there's oil runs out. We're there where oil isn't doing what it used to do. And people, they've gotten so addicted to this permanent fund dividend that they don't give a shit. They don't care. They want the dividend. That's it. Most people, a lot of people.
Okay. Well, you've mentioned it. We're wrapping up. I just want to hear.
I can keep going, but I just wanted to.
What's your? Oh yeah, I know. What? I don't know you very well, but I feel like I do now. We could be here for hours.
Oh, I could go for as long as you want. I mean, I got a meeting, but
yeah. What do you want your legacy to be?
Oh my God, I'm only 40. That's like something you ask somebody when they're like 70.
Not at all.
My leg, I don't know, but I don't really want a life. That means I'm dead.
Well,
I have a legacy.
No.
I guess I don't know that I wasn't scared to hold powerful people accountable.
Awesome. Well, thank you for doing it. A lot of people wouldn't. I appreciate it.
Yeah, it frustrates me that some of the news organizations have these bigger budgets, and I don't know, they just tend to reprint press releases, or there's just not a lot of really investigative journalism, or people really digging and seeing what's going on happening.
Okay.
A lot of people who could do it, they get better jobs. They get much higher paying jobs.
Well, that doesn't seem to be the motivator.
Well, for money is a a lot of people who have worked in
I meant
Channel
for you.
2 or 8. Yeah, it's I make okay. I do okay, but I have a lot of my friends are making much. I could make a lot more money doing something else, but then I couldn't come on here and say all this stuff.
Right. Okay, so besides poker, whiskey, and politics, where's your fun come from?
I travel. I love to travel. I read. I got a book club.
You do?
So yeah, we're actually reading Lisa Murkowski's book for this month, or Far From Home. It's an interesting.
How's it going?
It's good. There's a lot of good parts. There's a couple of things in there that I'm You know, she thinks very highly of herself.
Well,
I guess we all do.
Well, you mentioned something about going into politics. You had to have a little bit of what did you say?
Ego.
Yeah, I think it was that.
I like her a lot. I like Lisa, but there's just some things in there like, you know, Nancy. One thing that stood out was Nancy Dahlstrom almost beat her in 2002 in the legislature, and it was like 20 votes, and you know, she kind of explains why this almost happened, and then her dad appoints her to the Senate seat,
Right.
and she kind of insinuates or kind of that no, Nancy wasn't maybe that serious, or she shouldn't have got that close, but she kind of left out that Nancy is now the lieutenant governor, and that when Lisa got appointed to the Senate seat by her dad, Frank then appointed Nancy Dahlstrom to her seat. I mean, you think you might like include that? It's kind of, to me, a little bit relevant. She called Joe Miller a jackass.
Do you read
twice? She said she would have told McCain about Sarah Palin if she didn't think the rumors were such a fucking joke. There's some gems in there that are kind of.
I might have to read that. Do you read anything non-political?
Yeah, I don't read any fiction hardly at all. I read a lot of nonfiction, mostly history. I have a history degree, so history, political, and Malcolm Gladwell type books. I like those, and Tipping Point, and
Gotcha.
those kind of things.
Gotcha. All right.
Jonathan Haidt,
Yeah.
probably heard of him. Righteous Mind.
Okay, so best part of your day?
Best part of my day. At night, I'm an owl, so I don't go to bed till late. I like to do things at night.
Nice.
I hate waking up early. I hate getting up in the morning.
Well, you have a ton of people to talk to, a ton of people that want to give you information. I couldn't be more grateful that you would take today, and at the last minute, nonetheless.
No problem.
I just really appreciate it, and I look forward to your feedback. And look, you'll have to wait to see if we actually publish this. We'll see if we post
waiting
it.
with bated breath. I'll send you the invoice for the political report later.
Yeah, thank you. All right.
Okay.
Thanks so much.
Thank you, Paula.